talking about the Action Alliance. And yes, we'll be having a conversation with Honorable Tokpe Abdulrazak Balogun, the Action Alliance Lagos State governorship candidate in the 2023 general elections in Nigeria. Good afternoon to you, sir, and welcome to the conversation.
Good afternoon, Sharon. Good afternoon, Russia. The people. Good afternoon, Nigerians.
Yes. Good to have you here, Honorable. It's a pleasure to have you here. We'll begin from the 2023 elections. We'll talk about what's happening now and also talk about how you and your party are positioning ahead of 2027. But let me begin by asking, will you be on the ballot in 2027?
That is sorry, futuristic, and that can be predetermined. We have to go through the process, and that will eventually determine if I'm going to be on the ballot or not. Because we have millions of negotiations that will be tested in contesting too. So we go through the process. So I'm going through the ballot too, and if a chance I eventually stay through, I should be on the ballot.
So, but are you in the conversation, or you're still deciding whether to be fully in the ballot in 2027 or not?
Well, we are consulting with our team, and we are strategizing on the best decision to make. But we can't determine that ahead of the final primary elections. So, circumstances change, and the interest is consistent. But as of today, we want to contest the election. But by the final decision, the final time we are going to make our decision, the public will know if we are going ahead, we are going to strategize. But then, as of today, I am looking at contesting the governorship seats once again.
How was your outing in 2023 as a member of the Action Alliance? Now, I'm asking this because when you talk about political parties in Nigeria, when you say APC, of course, every average Nigerian, even the ones who are not politically inclined, can say they know the APC. When you talk about the Labour Party, from 2023 till now, quite a number of Nigerians will tell you, of course, they know the Labour Party, they know the party's candidate in 2023. Some do, some do not. When you talk about the African Democratic Congress, the ADC coalition, of course, they have gained momentum and also gained recognition and popularity in recent times, right? But when you talk about the Action Alliance, when you say AA, some Nigerians will say, okay, I know about the party, but it would take someone who is very conversant with Nigerian politics to say they know about the Action Alliance. What is going on that it seems we are not really hearing about the party as much as other opposition political parties in Nigeria, even when it comes to criticizing the policies of the current administration, because we believe that that's what opposition is about, picking holes in what the administration is doing and talking about how you will do it better.
If you look at what happened to Labour Party immediately after the election, too, you see that they're battling with internal crisis, and they didn't even criticize the ruling government the way they should. Just to bring the point out of that we were battling with internal crisis, factionalized party ahead of the 2023 election. It eventually affected our lots. Major Mustafa was a presidential candidate. We also faced similar challenge. I am in Lagos as a candidate. I faced similar challenge of the faction in it is from one court today to another until recent time when the decisive judgment has been made. If you look at the INEC portal for some time, you will see that within every 1 year, something like that, you see that the leadership is officially on their website changes because it's a court case every now and then. It affected me too. I almost lost the ticket towards the election. I won the primary election through a particular faction. But before we had the election, another faction won court judgment that upturned everything. I have to reroute towards them so that I will not be kicked out and another person needs to replace me. So, and that has been the challenges of the ever since until recent time. So, that might have affected me. That has actually affected commenting on so many national policies. But as individuals, we have been doing that.
Okay.
If you are conversant, you go to my own page, you see criticizing, talking, and taking things that are to be critical, giving them advice constructively.
Okay. So what is responsible for the internal crisis? What's responsible for the mayhem in the party?
Definitely is all about the different caucus want to be in charge of the party and try to pick holes in the constitutional provision of ensuring who is going to lead. And that has been the problem. And that's why they always go to court. You know, I would say there is no hand of other parties trying to infiltrate us so that they can have a control of who is in the leadership. That is politics.
Now,
But then,
okay.
that is just what it is. Leadership crisis.
Politics is a game of interest. One would have expected that before you guys got into the party, you guys would have aligned your interest. Didn't that happen? Or you guys just went into the party blindly, and then when there's a few persons now discovered they're not achieving the goal of why they got into the party, it started causing problems in the party?
No, like I said, the only official way of knowing who is in charge of any political party is through their elect, nothing else. There's no political party that won't have a couple of people claiming that they are the leaders. If you look at Labour Party, that is, I'm just using Labour Party as a reference now because some of you may be very familiar with what is happening to them. You know what happened to Abule. And now we have the courts mentioning Nadia is the senator, Nadia is the chairman. If you go to the next portal, that is where we are going to know who is recognized politically, and that is where we went and we aligned with those we saw back then. Until some few months before election, there was an opt-on of event. So I have to route to because we want to work with the party, regardless of who is at the option of affair. And you know, it will definitely affect our notes because of the reality issue eventually.
Interestingly, I went to the ANEC website before the conversation began, and some of the principal officers of the Action Alliance, National Chairman, Honorable Adekunle Rufai Omoaje, he says by court order, and I do recall reports towards the end of September 2025 that actually affirmed him as the national chairman. The national secretary, Mila C. Ogu, is also by court order. The national treasurer is by court order. National financial secretary by court order. The national legal advisor by court order. What does this say about the party's ability to put its house in order without the court having to do that for them? Because if everything on the INEC website is showing that it's by court order, that means there is no unity, there is no agreement within the party.
And too many legal somersaults.
Yes, and when you say in your individual capacity you criticize the administration, if you come as a party, doesn't that show Nigerians that this is a serious party?
Yes, like I said earlier, it is something that we have to deal with as a party. But now that the court order has settled it, we have a one house. Then people that are not ready to work with the present leadership, the other political party, or they will just retire from politics. But definitely, you have to go through the process that is recognized constitutionally. You can't go and be fighting on the streets for political relevance. You have to go through the recognized process, which is the constitution of the party. What does it say? And if there is a conflict of interest, you have to go to the court to understand how to interpret what should be. And that is what is happening. So there's nothing really spectacular. even if you go to the Labour Party, if the Nadi is to be input on that their list, you see culture that there too. So even some candidates at the last 2023 election, they got their candidacy through court order. Even the incumbent Senate president, if you remember vividly, was challenged. If the other person that won, if the former Senate president also had similar issue, if the other people that went to court got through the process, they would have been on the ballot through court order. So it's not something extraordinary to have your official capacity through the court order. It is part of the process in democracy. So that the person that is justice must have been attained when you do things you're supposed to be done. So there's nothing spectacular. Then if you are talking about the party coming together to make pronouncement, they have been making their pronouncement. But like I said, because it has always been more of the crisis. That's why it's not gaining the national attention. But now we have one united home. Some people have agreed to work with the incumbent set of executive. Some people are trying to channel their way out to other parties, and some people are going back home without participating in party politics. So they have their choice, the franchise, and everybody has their rights over their franchise.
All right, then let's talk about the strength of the party, because one of the strengths of a party is in the number of people it has in elected positions across the country. How many governors in Nigeria belong to the Action Alliance today? How many State House of Representatives belong to the Action Alliance? How many people in the House of Reps? How many people in the Senate belong to the Action Alliance? Recently, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke defected from the PDP, but he went to Accord Party, and we can more or less say that he is currently giving that party recognition. When we see people defecting from one party to the other, it's like they are going from PDP to APC, from APC to ADC. Why are we not seeing people defecting to the Action Alliance? What is wrong?
Well, if you look at the Rivers State local government elections, before it was obtained, when Fubara actually organized it, Action Alliance won a local government. So the political party strength varies from one location to another. And that is just the fact. We have all political parties cannot have similar streets, but political parties can always represent their own ideology, and people that are interested in that ideology, we align with them, and it may take time for them to look at ADC that we are talking about. ADC is we are almost at par with ADC, or better than ADC in the public bled.
Can you really say you are better? Because Nigerians cannot recognize the party. Cannot recognize the party logo.
Yeah, that's why I said before now. I hope you got that. I hope you got that part of it. While I said before now.
Okay.
Yes, it was just because of recent events that ADC now became more popular than Action Alliance. They were not more popular. They're not even as popular as us in the last dispensation. So political interest may, by chance, boost your opportunities. Just like Labour Party too. They are not as popular as how they became popular in 2020. The Labour Party has been in existence for years. So this is not something that is due to any serious politician. You just keep your house together, continue to push your ideology. People can always come around because of different interests to make your party more popular and how it used to be. But at least the party must be in existence for the ideology to be promulgated. And that is why we continue to push it.
Now, you just mentioned Labour Party's popularity. post 2023, and you also used ADC as a reference point. You may not be the national chairman, but as a former governorship candidate, you are one of the party's stalwarts. So, what exactly can you tell us about what the modalities the party is putting in place to get a more, if not national recognition, but Lagos state recognition, just like what ADC is doing now?
Hello, Honorable, are you there? Hello, Honorable, can you hear us? Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead. We can hear you, sir. We can hear you, sir.
I've said it severally that it is people that made up parties. It is not the party that is making up. The type of people that are part of a particular party determines how they become visible in the larger society. When we came into Action Alliance became very popular in Lagos State, and we were part of the Strong Four back then. And that's why there was just several debates for governorship candidates that I attended. To our YouTube channel, you see some of those things where we are able to present our manifesto. So it is people. Look at the issue of AD before AC became this Action Congress back then. It was people in AD that migrated away from AD to form AC. AD was still in the recent, right? But it was no more visible in the sight of many people because it was people that made up the AD that went to the AC. See, the same thing happened to PDP in Lagos in 2023. It was people that were natural or generic voters for PDP that went and migrated to Labour Party. It was PDP, most people that do normally vote before for PDP started voting for Labour Party and edged so many people out of the system in PDP. So it is always like that. It is people that make up a political party, and those people are doing that will make it visible. And we have been doing what we are known best to be doing. And that is why before the election, I had demonstrations from so many portals that we should come and work with them. Although I and eventually went to the polls, even though there are so many propagandas, but I still went to the post like that. Even the state governor had to contact me to come work with him. So if you think Action Alliance was not that strong, we would not have been so much recognized and the seeking partnership with us. Even Labour Party reached out to me. So just for the records, they reached out, but we declined because the identities were very, very different. And we protected our interests to the last.
All right, then. How was your outing in the 2023 elections? That was one election that many Nigerians claimed was marred with malfeasance, violence, ballot box snatching. And you know what really happens with many of our elections in Nigeria and indeed in Africa, where people want to win by hook or by crook. Would you say that these alleged malfeasance affected your outing in 2023? Or was it that the people were not really conversant with you and your party? Was it the people that did not come out to vote for you that made the APC candidate, Governor Sanwo-Olu, who was the incumbent at that time, to win? What happened with your election in 2023?
I participated well and I was very, very visible, like I said, and people that were my own supporters were all over Lagos. No local governments. At the last election, we presented 40 hours of assemblies, and that was the first time he was doing that. Even the person in charge of INEC coalition of political parties candidates. He was surprised when she saw us presenting for the House of Assembly candidates. So, but we also what happened during the election. Although I gave it as a better strategy for the ruling party, that is appropriate. It beats supporters. Some of them, they beat them with canes. Some of them
supporters of your party were
getting near the polling unit because they knew where they were flogged. It's on record. So, and they flogged them, some of them. They blocked some of them from even getting near the polling unit. You know, there's no amount of private vote buying that buy them off. And they know that personality will ordinarily command respect and votes for us. But they were clinically handicapped. The system was manipulated. I saw the way everything was, and it was not in the favor of the masses or the general news. Again, it is what is. This is politics. You have to know. You have to know that there will always be a winner by hook or crook. But then you have to strategize better. Everybody is planning politically, and if your strategy does not work, you have to look at the future and look at the loopholes instead of just ranting. You go back to the drawing board and plan better. You also what happened 24 hours before the election, where they had to bring aspirants, traditionalists came out almost in almost all the local governments to instill fear in people. In fact, some places they were raining curses at anybody that, because this is a thing that I saw, I witnessed, that anybody that votes against a particular political party is going to experience some spiritual attack and the like. Even some places, they threaten to send them away from their communities. Some CDAs, some of my voters, these are things that I experienced. So all these things culminate into the eventual results. Then there was a propaganda ahead of the election where we had a meeting, and at that meeting, the meeting was at the behest of somebody that was analyzing from the ruling party, but it was reported wrongly on the Twitter account. Even though we had so many rejoinder from a regular media channel, the propaganda was seen as the truth, because that is how politicians do most of the time. So it was something that worked so much against them. But everything is experience, and they have learned our lessons going forward into the next cycle of election.
All right, then let's move on from what is past and move on to the present, and of course, what's in the future. Currently, what is on the lips and on the minds of many Nigerians is the Electoral Act amendment, which President Bola Tinubu signed into law just yesterday. It was passed by the National Assembly on Tuesday. If you recall, for over a week, some Nigerian civil society organizations and activists, political analysts, presidential candidates, politicians, opposition members had picketed the gates of the National Assembly, saying they want electronic transmission of results in real time, come what may. But the National Assembly decided on a measure where there would be manual transfer backed up by electronic or vice versa. And they say it's because of the places where there are no network. Nigerians countered that, saying we can make bank transfers no matter where we are. They say terrorists are in the bush and they're uploading content. They're trying to sell weapons and ammunition. They're posting videos of themselves with ransom money and they kidnapped people even inside the forest. How can you say that there is no network in some villages in the country? That is an indictment on you who have been representing your people for a long while. What is the stance of of the Action Alliance on this particular conversation? Because again, like I said, we're not hearing any loud voice from the party.
Like I said it earlier, the truth has to be told. This is politics, and the politicians know that there are some things you can only have your say. You may not have your way, because election cycle is every 4 years. It is the masses that are doing things against their own interests. They are not always coming out en mass to vote out people that we call rubbish people. So, but we will sit down on the various corners of our homes, typing and saying things. All those things that do not count. All those things, they do not count at all when we are talking about democratic governance in democracy. Because in democracy, there are principles. And one of the principles of democracy, like we have it in Nigeria, is that the arms of government. The only people that can amend this bill are those at the National Assembly. Who voted them there? We voted them. We supported the system. Get them there. It may not be by our will, but if we actually come out en masse to vote against them, there are sometimes you say they rig us out, you allow them to rig you out. Even those that are core politicians have been in so many top tier political parties and have been a state secretary of a very big political party at a point. So I know that no politician will tell you is not ready to rig. And at the same time, no politician will tell you that they will rig when there is no vacuum. It's not possible to rig when there is no vacuum. And who are those creating the vacuum? They are the same masses that are going to be affected by the decisions of those arms of government, especially the executive and the legislative arms that are voted for. So, for me, it is not about just making noise. You saw everything. I say some of these things are just showboating. Because those people that are supposed to really go out for the protest are the masses. Yeah,
but the masses were there, though. The masses were there.
We saw it. We saw it. How many millions of people? You know, they are not even up to 1 million of people. And we are talking about a country of almost 300 million. Here we have close to 100 million registered voters. Let's talk about ordinary 1 million people going there to say this is what we want. And protest is one of the instrumentalities of a democracy. But we are not, the masses that the protests are for are not going out to actually do their part. So you can't blame anybody. Some people are not doing their part. And at the end of the day, it is a case of the heaven is falling almost on everybody's head. Everybody is going to have a place to hide eventually. And that is what we have now in our hands. So it is all about, okay, we saw various political interests that were there, people that have that name, that were at the National Assembly. Does that actually change anything from what those legislative arm wanted to do with their counterpart in the executive arm? They still achieve their goal. We only made noise. And for me, I always say, let's go out. See, if we can do that at this case as much as possible, and we have a larger number of people turning out to vote, then they are voting not for money. They are voting for people that have the character to do the biddings of the masses. They won't be in this mess that we find ourselves. Look at the last Lagos election. Even when the incumbents then to 2023, sorry, the incumbent president presently was very popular. Was very popular in Lagos. He was described as the Jagaban and whatever, but he lost even in his own state. Then in the seat of power in Abuja, where the ruling party was too, the incumbent president was there in Abuja. They still lost in that Abuja to show you the power of people. Are you telling me they did not try to rig their way? Are you telling me there was no serious diversional activities to just sabotage the interest of the people? But the way the people turned out were too massive for them to have their way. But look at the next election afterwards, during the governorship, because they pronounced a candidate that has lost in the general election. Many people did not come out.
Okay.
Many people did not come out. Is that how to sustain democracy? That's a big no.
Now, for someone that told us some minutes ago what your party went through in Lagos at the Lagos State election, one would have expected that you and your party would be at the forefront of the clamor for change as far as these compulsory electronic transmission of results is concerned. You can't underestimate the power of noise. One may be tempted to think that your party is just making up the numbers as far as a multi-party system is concerned. So how do you dispute that tag of AA being one of the numbers of a multi-party system?
Well, if you have followed me vividly, you observe that I spoke extensively about this electronic transmission before the saga, before they even started the debate. When they went for recess, and the recess was getting too long, I spoke to different media houses, even your sister media houses, that is the TV. I was a constant speaker there to establish what is expected. So, but that will make me to shy away from telling us the truth, that it cannot be done by the few numbers of people that are making the noise. It can be better achieved by the larger percentage of people that will be affected by the system. And that is what I'm saying. I spoke extensively. In fact, as I expressed today, I will see another interview speaking, condemning. You look at, see, the way people were even talking about this, I was laughing. I said, they did not consider so many other things that are technically going to make it very difficult for them to change the. In fact, so many candidates will be disenfranchised. So many parties will be disenfranchised from presenting candidates in the next election. There is another part that people have not opened up. I will be the one that open it up. I go and look at where they are talking about mode of party primaries. They have technically made it impossible for political party to choose their own candidates in the best mode they can contain, and they are giving them a direct instruction of, because it is part of our electoral bid. Anybody that does otherwise will stand a chance of getting their candidate disqualified, because they will be going in variance with what is expected. He said they should go for direct primaries. You understand what direct primaries is? Everybody will go and vote for whichever aspirant they want to become candidates. And you know the chance that is going to emanate from such design, just model. Then eventually, he said, if you don't want to go through the direct primary, you should go by consensus. Look at some of these big parties that have 2, 3, 4 formidable aspirants that want to become whatever. If they do not agree among themselves that this is who we are going to be presenting, they will not have the candidates. Then if they have to go through the direct whatever they want us to go through, and there are chances here and there, not being a related results that will be viable enough to submit to INEC that this is the process we went through, and this is how we came about our candidates. This is another thing people are not even talking about, and I'm just like, at the end of the day, it is only small parties that do not have patronage of candidates that will not go and do concession. Those big parties may not eventually have candidates in some of these vacant positions that will be coming up. So I have always studied some of these things, and I'm always calling attention of people. So we are not just part of the numbers. We are part of what is making democracy to stand in Nigeria. And that is why we are a registered political party and will continue to be on the ballot paper.
All right, then. You're listening to the New Nigeria Debate right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We're currently engaged in conversation with Honorable Tokwe Abdul Razak Balogun, the Action Alliance governorship candidate of Lagos State in the 2023 general elections. We're talking about opposition positioning ahead of the election. So let's talk 2027. Major Hamza Al-Mustafa was your candidate in 2023 elections, the candidate of the Action Alliance. That is one man who was popular in the 90s, right?
Yes.
So that's a popular name. So how come he seemed to be an unpopular candidate in 2023? What will the Action Alliance do differently in 2027, especially with everything that we're seeing now? The other opposition figures and parties who we hear their voice every other day, they say that the APC is gearing up to rig the elections in 2027. Is that something you believe? How does your party plan to counter whatever plans is being put in place by the ruling party?
Whatever plan our party is having is not something that will be big or be brought to the public, definitely. But then whatever happens to Al Mustafa is not in SDP if you follow the news. Yes, they come to SDP, so I won't be talking much about his interest in the next presidential race. But then this is politics and this is Nigeria. We are yet to have that educated voters as much as it's expected. And as of today, we have the problem and we are plagued with the problem of religious ethnicity and, I don't know, bigotry, such that at the end of the day, it tends towards asking ourselves questions about what religion does it practice, from what ethnic group, from what region, that is the zonal region, is it from. And these things definitely affect voters. And then there is why candidates going towards the general election, because we are so much brainwashed. And that is why we are not going to be listening to many of those candidates talking about what they wanted to do. They are not going to be understudying their manifestos. They are not going to be criticizing what they stand for. But what we will be looking at automatically is all those things I mentioned. And if one of those, our own detrimental setup standard is not met, we cancel the person out almost outrightly. They are not even ready to listen to their speeches, and that is what might have affected from my own perception. Even till date, you understand very well that we have this problem at hand. That it is time for the South. It is time for. We are not looking at Nigeria as Nigeria. We are looking at Nigeria for regional divides, and that is why, as of today, they will tell you it is still the turn of the South. So if anybody emerges from the North, it's a no for some people automatically. So these are the bane of anybody's chances in the forthcoming election. So some people will say no. Some particular region has not ruled before, so it is their time now, and because that region has been sidelined for too long. But at the end of the day, the question I always ask is, okay, if that region is there, ordinarily, if the person from that region is there, ordinarily, if he is a good person, is he supposed to be ruling Nigeria from the perspective of a regional agenda or from the perspective of Nigeria agenda? What does Nigeria want to achieve as a people? And what is our interest as a people? So we have a very long way to go if we are to.
All right. What do you think the opposition is getting wrong?
Good result for opposition.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think the opposition is getting wrong in Nigeria of today? And how do you think that can be fixed?
what we are getting wrong as an opposition is to continue to go through that election fragmented. The way it can be fixed is coalition. I won't shy away from it. There must be a coalition, despite the fact that we want different parties. There must be a coalition of interests during the next general election. If you go two fragmented political parties, and the company will continue to. But when there is a coalition of interested political parties, then we always have a government of unity at the center, where almost of the party we have one or the other to play a building the nation as a country for everybody, because many of us don't have that grace. And according to the law of Nigeria, everybody that is going for should not have a second address. So if that is done, then you have government of national unity, and everybody will play a role at the center, while they can continue to compete at the lower level of our organogram as so that's what they are getting on. If they go again to 2027 election, fragmented political candidates, fragmented interests, then it is a leeway for the ruling party to continue with their shenanigans.
And how do you think that will be achieved when you consider most of these opposition parties? Some of the biggest parties we saw in the 2023, and now they are a shadow of their former self, and that putting it mildly. And these other political parties that are not drowning in legal fightings, are nowhere to be found. So how do you think those coalition can be achieved? How do you think that will work? Because right now, the only party that seems like proper and well, in quotes, opposition party tends to be ADC, and if that remains in 2027, it will be a very, very cheap ticket and election for the APC. So how do you think this opposition can come together and form a coalition with the sole purpose of taking the APC and Tinubu out of power?
If the ADC really wants to be the bigger brother, it should extend its arms of invitation to all those parties who assumed are not prosperous enough. They have their values, they have their people that are diehard, and all those people will contribute, even if it is their think tank. Some of these things we have outside as general voters are mobilized to people that are politically inclined, and they should sit down and talk. It happened in 1999, if I'm not making a mistake. Yes, in 1999, where the APP and AD aligned to push a political candidate in Parliament to be the sole candidate for both parties. So there's nothing new. They still kept their party. APP was even making waves in the northern part of Nigeria. The AD was making waves in the southwest part of Nigeria. And they formed a formidable coalition towards the presidential election, despite the fact that they have other interests protected as individual political party other positions. So there's nothing really new. If they had emerged then, technically APP and AD would have formed a government of national unity where they will play a better role. And it can even metamorphose into a stronger political party that can stand the test of time, and they will be doing what is right. And we'll be enjoying as a people in Nigeria. What we are lacking as of today is compassionate leadership. They have visionary leaders, they have those visions, but they are not compassionate. And immediately their hands are soiled. They just have to shake them out and follow the tides. So that's my view.
The APC has been accused of having a hand in most of the internal infractions and crisis brewing in some of these opposition political parties in Nigeria. Do you think that they really have that strength? And if that is the case, what does that say about the people in these parties who allow themselves to be swayed? Because right now in Abuja, the PDP candidate for Buhari Area Council stepped down for the APC candidate at the behest of Wike just 3 days to the election. And I think I just got a notification. I'm trying to look for that particular report that another PDP candidate seemed to have also stepped down right there in Abuja. So, because when you blame the electorate, if this is what they are seeing from their leaders, I mean, how do you expect them to be any different? Plus, the leaders are taken from the people. When you blame the electorate, has there been that encouraging environment for them to vote the way they would want to, for them to go out and protest? When people go out to protest, and the next thing they get is tear gas in their eyes. So why exactly do you blame the electorate?
There are two questions in one. The first one is that it is part of politicking that political parties are infiltrated. You can't blame any political party that is trying to infiltrate 30 columnists there and there. It is part of politics. So it's part of politics, and it's a strategy to gain more ground, get more intel to work on. So it's nothing extraordinary. It is normal in political setting to have such thing. But the problem where I think the masses will continue to be blamed is that we have 18 political parties. 18 political parties means we have options. And the funny thing is that politicians have a way of maneuvering themselves. If it had been that it was the political party candidate that was blocked, you will see them moving almost immediately from that very popular political party you think was popular to something, to a political party that you think was a minority, and that minority will eventually win the election with their own voters that are loyal to them. That shows you the power of voters. The voters can determine who is going to become what if they are so determined. We have seen YPP won senatorial election in Anambra through the late Yoruba that is now late. So that is no extraordinary thing. These people that you are talking about, you said PDP is PDP really an opposition against Nigeria. Let's just wait the fact. Is it at the moment is PDP an opposition political party? So let's wait. So any candidate, if the court has not pronounced that recent court judgment and nullify that their Ibadan convention, are you telling me they are going to have candidates? They don't have candidates, and that is what they have been doing in different states. And that is why Adeleke went to a court party, because he may not become a candidate if they went ahead into the primaries with what happened at the Ibadan convention, where the had divided PDP, and INEC is not recognizing both factions. So for now, INEC is recognizing a faction because of the court pronouncement, and the faction that is recognized has said it in the open that everything goes back to his present master. So when we have a boss subordinate arrangement, definitely it is what the boss wants. If you look at even Rivers, when they were settling between Fubara and Wike, what was part of the statement attributed to the president? That Wike's candidate should be given APC tickets. Wike's candidate should be given APC tickets, and that they should be the winner for the election that is going to be held as what do we call this election that that is to be held because some people that take their positions.
Oh,
so
by elections,
yes, it is Wike's candidates that will be on the ballot for APC. So you can't call PDP a formidable. So if you are talking about people that are really contesting this next election, we are talking about ADC versus even no more Labour Party. Before now, it used to be Labour Party as at 2023, especially.
Yeah.
But as at today, it is APC. So let us just be factual in whatever happens. So if the voters want to be very, very deceitful, they will say because of whatever leader. Voters are at liberty to vote for anybody they believe in. And I've given you a sample of Ifeanyi Ubah, late Ifeanyi Ubah. He made it to the Senate through YPP. YPP was very, very uncommon.
Let's stay with ADC. Of course, we know you're not a member of ADC, but as a politician, I'm almost sure you're following happenings in ADC. And as you've likely mentioned, the party that seems like an opposition party, I'm not very sure if you can call them formidable now. They still have a long way to go. But so far, there looks like a party that can give APC at least a run for its money. Now, but presently, two major candidates stands out in ADC, Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar. Now, that seemed to be like the biggest debate right now of which of them were able to give APC and Tinubu a run for money. Peter Obi has the buzz. He seems to have been able to gather lots of Nigerians, especially young Nigerians, and also comes from a tribe that have been crying marginalization at the national level for a long time. And then Atiku, on the other hand, has experience as far as the national level is concerned. And some would argue that he's the only politician in Nigeria that have the money that can compete with the kind of money that APC and Tinubu have. If you are a member of ADC, or if you are to advise, which of these two candidates would you think will be able to give ADC a bigger chance of going toe-to-toe with APC and President Tinubu?
Well, for me, as a politician and as a Nigerian, none of them is so exceptional than the masses. None of them. They are going to still go back and they are going to still go back and sit on the votes of the masses. Before now, Atiku had been a presidential candidate where Obi was his
vice president.
Vice presidential candidate. They did not win any election. They established that it is still the masses. So in 2023, when the masses now said, especially coming from the vanguard of what happened during the EFSAS, that was what actually united the youth. It was not Obi that united the youth. Obi had been on the ballot before. It was the EFSAS issue. It was not the marginalization issue. People that were voting for Obi are not they are not homogeneously from the southeast.
Okay.
They are not homogeneous from the southeast. People voted against Ashwaju that are Yoruba in Lagos. So that even people that were in Abuja, all of them are not Igbos. Hausas voted against Tinubu and Buhari joined together in that their is. So the truth is, it is Nigerians that should win the election, irrespective of whatever candidate that is going to be produced. The first thing first we should look at is what is our interest as a people. They are not talking about Abechi. Abechi is also, in fact, Abechi is also from the south. If you look at the whole stuff, Abechi is from the south. He was also a former minister, a former governor. Yes, he's a former governor, he's a former minister. So are you telling me he doesn't have money to spend around or throw around? So if you are talking about money stuff, then you cannot. He's also from, I think, from the, I don't know if he's an Igbo person from the south part of the geopolitical zone. So these things are not, for me, are not of interest to me. Whoever is pushed, because they even have an order to go some. which is what they should go and sit down seriously to work upon, because they already placed that time bomb for them. It's a landmine and it has been signed into law. I don't know if they have to go to court so that that thing can be revised. When you talk about Atiku had the money to throw around, they have already checked in with that law, because the money he had thrown around in the past was to make primary election most times, and the primary elections he had won most times were indirect primaries, where they is allegedly said to be giving out thousands of dollars to people that will go to influence their interest and the like. But now we are not, well, with this new electoral bill that is there now, it is not possible any longer, because we are talking about a direct primary where I'm going to vote from my own ward, then the result will be connected with other ones for the local government down to the whole 36 plus Abuja, 36 states plus Abuja. It's very, very huge for him to overcome. So it's a landmine. Now, if somebody is not going to admit a vote from a particular region, they have to shout down themselves as they like. And the 120 days that they gave to them, according to the law, every party should present their candidates within 120 days before the general election. If the 120 days should elapse by one day and they couldn't provide a candidate through consensus on the direct primary, there is not going to be a candidate for that point.
Okay.
And that is the issue of the law.
So if that ordeal itself is something people are not even talking about. So both of them will not even emerge eventually if they fail to agree and put the interest of Nigeria before them.
Now, finally, the insinuation, the general opinion is that after the national convention primaries of ADC, ADC will bleed because of aggrieved members that probably that didn't get on the ticket is most they're most likely going to leave the party. And also general opinion is that Atiku will most likely get the ticket from ADC, which means there's a likelihood that Peter Obi would leave the party. Do you agree? One, do you agree with that insinuation? And secondly, if Peter Obi eventually leaves ADC, if he doesn't get the ticket for the presidency in ADC, is AA a good party for him to pitch his tent in 2027?
Firstly, AA is a good party for any serious politician to pick their ticket for, because it's a registered political party. So they are not going to have any legal issue to say, you went to a political party that is not recognized. It's a recognized political party. So it's a very good political party. When you went to Labour Party became what it became. Now they are in ADC had that boost, and it is what it is now. They first went to SDP, if you remember, SDP became the major threat. They started threatening factions inside SDP too. Now they went to ADC. ADC became, so no political party will not be interested in having a big shot coming to take it over or coming to partner with them so that they can have that general boost. And even some small fries will rise through that opportunity. We also what happened in the Lagos State national election back then. Some people that we do not even know became House of Reps member, some of them being House of Assembly member. So it is always an opportunity for small party, a lot of inputs, a party that is not as big as some of those candidates we made them look big. But again, it is not something that is good. I will not go back on my words that coalition to bring one political candidate out is the way to go. See all this fragmentation, everybody will just be on a lose-lose situation. It will be on a lose-lose situation. And those people that will eventually emerge from all those small parties to sustain those parties to go to the National Assembly, you go to the National Assembly and still remain minority. They will not even be able to make any difference. You saw that they are very APC only. Does that actually change them from going ahead with their intention to do what they want against what many of us wanted? So the truth is, let them go towards, let them talk to themselves. Let them have Nigeria as their major interest.
Okay.
Let us forget about Atiku is winning, Obi is winning. If any of them should leave the political party because of his personal ambition, then it is no more our ambition. Then we should let him go. And let us just stick together with what is fair. So, and that will establish a better formidable team for us ahead of the election.
Okay.
Or if it is somebody is going for his own personal interest, you have to now go with him. And you don't really know what you are doing.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable, for being a part of this conversation. We have to let you go now so that we can take calls because we're kind of like using the same line. But thank you so much for being a part of the conversation today. We appreciate you. Before you go, in 30 seconds, just want you to give a message to the Nigerian people. As part of the opposition, why should they keep believing in you? Why should they not fall for what some political analysts have called the propaganda of the APC? The APC is more widespread. When you go about, is the president posters you see. We have the City Boy movement now. We have the RTIFN. Relax, Tinubu is fixing Nigeria. Every other day we are regaled with indexes and statistics of what he has done to better the life of Nigerians.
And different slogans.
As an opposition, what's your message to Nigerians? In a few words, in a very few words.
My message to Nigerians is to place themselves with the reality of our time. Live their life as it's actually better in true sense. Any political structure or government that is not bringing comfort to you is to be thrown out, because comfort, tranquility is the hallmark of good governance, and that is what everybody is enjoying where they are running to that you call Japa today. People Japa to other places because of the comfort and that tranquility they see and find in those places. And the only people that can bring them to us is our leaders. And if we fail to choose them right now, they are still going to be complaining and ranting for the next 4 years. Because after they have won and shown, it's another 4 years for us. Can you withstand this depreciation that is going on with us for the next 4 years? Ask yourself that question. Take the best decision in the next election cycle. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Tokpe Abdulrazak Balogun, for being a part of this conversation. Really appreciate you, and we hope that as election season comes upon us, we'll call on you again. You will respond.
I guess.
Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much. We've been speaking with Honorable Tokpe Abdulrazak Balogun, Action Alliance Lagos State governorship candidate in the 2023 general elections.